Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Celebrating 10 years of award-winning car talk, it's the In Wheel Time car show. Today coming to you from the NHRA Spring Nationals at Houston Raceway Park in Baytown, Texas, baby. We got guests from the professional drag racing circuit lined up for you during this 4-hour, extra long, extra special show today. We'll review our new car of the week, the 2021 Ford Ranger. We'll take a look at the events calendar and bring you this week's auto news headlines that include the weatherman. Ooh, that and more just ahead on today's In Wheel Time car show. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Conrad DeLong, Jeff Zekin, David Ainsley. I'm Don Armstrong, so glad that you could join us today. And sitting in the hot seat is the head of all of this shenanigan stuff going on out here at Houston Raceway Park, and that would be Mr. Seth Angel.
Hey, good morning, guys. Great to be on.
Mike?
Glad to have it.
Mike managed right away to trip over wires, and did you unplug something?
No,
Are you dead?
Working on the
You
light.
alive? Okay. Seth Angel is here, and my goodness, what a week.
It's been challenging, to say the least. But
yeah.
We're here. The gates are open.
Did you get any sleep last night?
I don't think I've gotten any sleep the entire week.
Oh, wow. I know. I can only imagine. Dude, is there something about this race with the weather?
Time of the year.
It would
appear that way.
It would appear that it is, but I can tell you is that, look, we're committed to this race. When we set the dates, we committed to running it this weekend.
Yeah.
And the weather is something we can't control. And so we'll adapt and adjust and make the best of the situation. What I can tell you and tell our fans is that in 22, we will be back in April. The only reason we're here today in May is just because the series got a later start, and to kind of fall into the right slot, we had to kind of push our race back to this May window.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And we're happy to have the event, though.
Well, so are we.
That's
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's certainly been a challenging year, hasn't it?
It is, but I will tell you, since things have started to open back up, since we kind of launched our 21 season, we've had a really, really hot start. Since we started opening up on our Friday street nights, our Texas 2K streetcar race was massive. It's the biggest one we've ever hosted. And so everything was aligning to be really, really good and really strong. And we could feel and sense that the consumer confidence was back. People were ready to get out and get going and go racing. And so, we were leading up into this week. And I'll tell you, when the rain started, things kind of started to slow down. But leading up to this race this weekend, we were on pace to have a really, really spectacular race weekend. And the reality is we still will. It's just that, people today, when they get up in the morning and they pull their curtains back, if the sun's not shining, they're going to think twice about it. And so for us, that's a challenge we deal with. But we're going to have a great race day today. That's our goal is to get 2 rounds of qualifying in. I think we will. I'm sure we'll have to adjust and do a few rain dances here and there and dodge some showers. But we've got all the equipment in the world to do that. And so whether we do it on schedule at noon and 4 or we push it back, we'll get it in.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that I just found out from John Presida, who's handling our Toyota guests today, that the qualifying first round has gone from 12:45 to noon. And I assume that that's because of the weather and everything else.
Yeah, so no, it's not uncommon to push up the posted schedule to when you're looking at the forecast. You just have to be realistic to the situation that is dealt when you wake up in the morning. And so, look, our goal is to give our fans two rounds of professional qualifying today. We think we can get that done. And so by moving it up an hour, that buys us an extra hour maybe in the evening if we have to get there. Then I think it's time well spent.
Well, having done this on a professional drag racing tour, I'm a little familiar with all of that. And I remember several races that I attended with the Valvoline Top Fuel team that we had some challenging issues with weather across the United States. There was one in particular. It was somewhere over in the Northeast. I don't recall specifically which one it was. But a day similar to this, it poured all day long. And then at 5 o'clock, the skies opened, and they raced until midnight.
Oh, wow.
to get 2 rounds of qualifying in. And it did just fine, and the fans stayed.
Yeah, so look, we've got all the staff here we need to accommodate our fans from the time they get here to the time they leave, and they may be here a little bit longer than what they were planning on, but at the end of the day, that's okay because we're going to go.
You get to listen to the nitro cars, right?
It's race weekend.
Yeah, something happens when you start smelling that nitro. Things just kind of change for you.
Yeah.
Well, and
the clouds part.
overcast like this, you can see the flames a little bit better. It's a whole different vibe than being out in the bright sunshine.
Yeah, it is. But look, nobody wants clear skies and sunshine more than me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're not going to get that. But it can't rain all day.
Well, but there's a lot of people watching the weather, and because of that, it's why you've moved up nitro to starting at noon as well, because they're looking at what's out in the Gulf headed this way, so they're trying to get ahead of it.
Actually, that actually made landfall a little while ago, south of here.
Yeah, down Corpus Christi area or south.
Well,
So-
that's a long ways away.
I will tell you, I'm watching the weather forecast last night, and I heard something as it relates to a weather forecast that I've never heard, a term, and it was called a dry slot.
Yeah, I heard that too. I'm going,
And
what?
I looked at some of my folks on our team, and I said, have you guys ever heard of a dry slot when it comes to weather? But, hey, we had one, and
We'll take it.
We'll take that dry slot.
We'll take that dry slot.
A dry slot. It's going to be a new meteorological term, and we're going to debut it right here at Houston Raceway Park today. So when the sky opens up and it's nice and clear, that, whatever window that is,
Right over the
we
track.
can look at each other and say, the dry slot.
We're in the dry slot.
With your permission, we can use that as the word of the day.
Yeah, hashtag dry slot.
Yeah, I didn't ring the bell for the word of the day, but that's a good one, the dry slot. So I haven't, and I don't know if we've got any actual NHRA officials coming. I know last year we talked to the president of NHRA, Glenn Cromwell, and I'm sure that he's here. And, what a challenge this has been in the past year for everything, but especially the NHRA Professional Drag Racing Tour. I mean, because each state has their own procedures as to, mask, no mask.
And they're always changing.
And there's, you have to be separated in the grandstands, all of that stuff. You're not having to deal with any of that now, are you?
No, and we're very, very lucky and fortunate to be great.
Texas, USA,
be
baby.
Texans. Look, we've got a great governor and a great state, and he's made the right call, and we his message we're aligned with 100%. And so, look, we're here. We have we're not tethered to any rules or regulations. We want people to be respectful and safe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're not in a position where we feel it's necessary to mandate masks for social distancing. If you want to do that, you're certainly welcome to.
And you can't take alcohol in and out of the Top Eliminator Club. I read that somewhere.
Well, that is not a Houston Raceway Park rule. It's a TABC rule.
You know that I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, but no, look, in the big picture, there are a lot of stakeholders when it comes to not only this event, but the entire series,
right.
When it comes to the NHRA. And, another big part of that stakeholder mix is the teams. You got to have the teams. And so for them, they have to be healthy and strong and put on a good product on the track because that's what keeps the fans coming back. And so, look, I've had probably more conversations with Glenn Cromwell and the president of the NHRA this week than I probably have ever had before, just because we've been dealing with, scenarios and what happens. Do we push this back to Memorial Weekend, which was in play for a good portion of yesterday and then even on Thursday. But at the end of the day, we felt since everyone was already here, we had most of the teams parked, most of our campground parked, and we felt like it was better if we ran it this weekend, regardless of the situation and the circumstance, than maybe pushing it back to next weekend. Because at the end of the day, that is a very problematic scenario for a lot of reasons. Logistics, the teams, hotels, families, all of our vendors that are supporting the event. And so you can't just say, oh, let's just go there, and it's just simple. Everyone just goes home for 5 days and returns.
Sure.
It's not that easy.
Right.
We would have done that. We would have been.
Yeah, but I think going home for us is a little easier than
That's
going
true.
home for everybody else.
Yeah.
But that's why there's a dry slot right over the top of us.
Yeah.
So
Ding,
Mars
ding.
Mars calls me in a panic yesterday afternoon after he dropped off the equipment on the way back to Neaterville and says, "Are the teams going to be here in the morning?" I said, "I guarantee you that every single member of every team that's racing this weekend will be here in the morning." I'm correct, am I not?
Yeah, they've been here. Look, they're set up. I've spoken with most of them. They're excited. They're here. They're excited to race, and they, like us, are really glad that we've stuck it out and are going to get the show in today and tomorrow.
Well, this track, of all of the tracks across the United States, always turns out the best times. We're almost at sea level.
Right.
And boy,
and depending on the air, sometimes we're below sea level, and that's where all the records show. This has traditionally always been the record-setting event.
Depending on the water
I will
grain.
tell you, all this is true, but I will tell you we will not have mine shaft conditions this weekend.
Mine shaft.
It's a little,
another one.
it's a little moist.
Yeah, there's another word for the day. Mine shaft and dry slot.
I love that.
No, look, yeah, you're right. We are just above sea level, and that by nature produces, the ability to create a lot of horsepower when the air is right. But, the cars are still going to go. I guarantee you'll have cars run over 320 miles an hour today and tomorrow. It may be a little wet in the air, but the cars are going to go down the track, and they're going to go fast.
Yeah. Well, the NHRA traditionally does such a great job in preparing the track, and always an important part of this. And this track is somewhat unique in the fact that there's a lot of concrete out there as opposed to asphalt on many of the tracks.
So our facility, our racetrack surface consists of 660 feet of concrete, then followed by another 660 feet of asphalt, and the shutdown area is all asphalt as well. As many people know, the most horsepower is applied to the car in the first 300, 400 feet,
right,
even into 600 feet. By 600 feet, these cars are going 260, 270 miles an hour. So to have that concrete, stable, great surface underneath them results in really, really incredible performance on the track.
What kind of car are you driving these days?
Well, I just got a new Tahoe.
Did you?
I'm not a race car guy.
Have you put the Tahoe on the track?
I have not, but and I probably won't.
Just for the heck
Not,
of it?
not just one afternoon, one Wednesday afternoon when
Don-
nobody's around.
Don, you don't understand. I've lived the last 15, almost 16 years of my life here. I've been down that racetrack more than probably anybody has
But
ever
not
been.
in the new Tahoe that
But
you
not in
just
the
bought.
So, look, I love this sport. I've been around it. That's why I'm here
All your life.
all my life. It's what I know. It's the only thing I really know. But for me, it's about the people and about the experience and the partners and doing things like this to interact and socialize with our fans.
Well, I have to tell you, you are a pleasure to work with. And, if I ever need anything, I said, hey, man, you got any spots for us? Yeah.
And you are just so needy, Don.
I am needy. I am needy. No, but like Rochelle Salinas at the Houston Auto Show said yesterday, she says, we go for 9 months, 11 months without seeing each other. And then we see each other, and it's like, well, I just saw you last week. How you doing? The old friends.
Just talk to you about,
Yeah. So it's a real pleasure. And trust me, we go to lots of different places with our show, and not everybody is like you and Rochelle and a few others. I mean, this is truly a professionalism that's well thought of and highly respected, and it's a pleasure to work with you and have a great event like this and.
So well organized, too.
And have us a part of it. I mean, we're truly appreciative.
Well, again, we appreciate everything, all your support and getting the word and spreading the message, not only for this race, but for all the things you do with your radio program. And it's a pleasure and honor to be here with you guys.
Thank you.
Long before I was within wheel time, I came out here for many, 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 many years. So,
Well, this is our 34th annual, so 35 years. We opened the gates in 1988. And
I was here.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun for us.
So what's the future hold in store?
Yeah, so look, I think it's no secret that that we sold the real estate that the racetrack sits on, but we've got a long-term lease in place, and so our plan is we'll be here next year, and we're working on the future past that, and trying to secure some things. But this is a great sport, and it's live sports is kind of surging back into the fold of everyday life.
Are you kidding? We're all dying for something to do.
And so that's why we're here. And so, look, we're working on things, things are forthcoming.
You need to expand and maybe put another track down towards like Sugarland or something. That'd be
that'd
be great.
I'm sure
That'd be
that's
awesome.
what he wants to do.
Probably not.
Yeah, no.
There was no
one is enough.
There was no hesitation at all.
He just smiled.
I've known him long enough till I can speak on his behalf. One is plenty.
Thanks,
He's got that smile. He smiled.
Yeah, exactly. So we're expecting all of the professional classes today. Are the motorcycles here too?
The top Pro Stock Motorcycle is not contesting this weekend. As part of their rotation, they were here in 21 or 20, and so they'll be back next year. But we have both Top Fuel and Funny Car, Pro Stock. We have Top Fuel Harley. We have Top Alcohol Dragster, Top Alcohol Funny Car, Top Dragster, Top Sportsman, and Factory Stock.
Cool.
Yeah, and the factory stock thing that's
That's really catching on.
It is, I think it's because fans can relate to the cars. They if you ask me what a 1970 or 67 Plymouth Dart looked like, I probably couldn't tell you.
You weren't born then.
Exactly, but I can tell you what a Dodge Drag Pack looks like.
Don was already driving back
Cobra
then.
Jet. So.
I'm interested to see what a 2021 Cadillac V
CT4.
Yeah, CT5.
Oh, CT5.
What that would turn down the track.
Okay.
Well,
Well, we're not
the
running
weekend.
it down there, I can tell you that.
Gee
That's
whiz.
not going to happen. I don't think that Cadillac would appreciate it since it's their car.
We won't tell them.
Well, I think we just did, so they'll be on the lookout.
Well, the interesting thing, though, Seth, is you guys are same weekend that they're running at COTA, but it looks like you're going to have a pretty good audience because I'm watching people are streaming in behind you. So I think it'll fill up for you today.
Yeah, just so for the record, as I said when I first came on, this was not May is not where we want to be. We always want to be in April. That's where we are. That's where we belong. And so it just so happened because of the circumstance and with COVID and the start of the series pushing back to later in the year, this is really our only space. Be careful. Our slot.
Our dry slot.
Our window to
dry
kind
slot.
of place this event. And it just happened to be on the same weekend as NASCAR at COTA. And so, look, they're experiencing the same challenges we are.
Yeah.
But I can assure our fans and NASCAR and COTA, we will not be on this weekend next year.
Well, it's not that too many weeks out. I mean, it's really 2.5, 3 weeks really from the last time you would April date. So it's really not that far off.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now we're pushing the summer button pretty hard right now.
Yeah, look, next weekend is the first holiday of the summer. Summer's here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is not called the Summer Nationals; it's the Spring Nationals, and so we'll be back there and
a little more springish.
The mid-April time window next year.
Well, running in the middle of summer in Houston would be a little difficult when it's 105 degrees and 90% humidity out. So we're very happy to have it in the spring.
I want to talk to you about the fun side of things when when the NHRA Pro Series isn't here. So the Friday night drags, that's where I grew up. The Friday night drag races down at Houston International Raceway on the Gulf Freeway. And, there might not be a lot of people in the stands because they're all in the pits working on the cars.
That's right. That's where the real enthusiasts are that are involved.
And how is that going?
It's going really, really well. From the first time we opened, we've been known to be open on Friday nights for legal street racing to get, people off the streets and onto the racetrack.
Right.
That's where this activity belongs. There's no place for it out on the streets of Houston and Texas. And so, we've got a great Friday night program. For one, it's relatively inexpensive. For $25, you can come out and race as many times as you want every Friday night that we're not doing a major event such as the one this weekend.
Right.
And, you can get all the track time you need and all the seat time you need. And it's in a controlled monitored environment where
with safety crews around.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what it's about. And you can't do that out on the street. So we've got a very robust Friday night street legal program. We've got a nice portfolio of just different style of events out here at the racetrack. So our fans can go to HoustonRaceway.com, just check out everything that we're doing. We're not just a racetrack. We host a big music festival in the fall every year. We do car shows. We do import style events.
I know that Cletus McFarland has been here.
Cletus McFarland, yeah.
Demolition drag racing.
You have to be creative, and you can't just continue to do the same thing over and over again, because that would be insane, right? So Cletus is really a massive draw. He's got an incredible audience on YouTube, and kind
of like us.
and us as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he brings a different crowd that maybe wouldn't come out to the racetrack. So it's when you kind of layer those types of things in with this NHRA Spring Nationals demographic, and we've got a nice big portfolio of events. And it's a lot
TX2K, you've had TX2K out here 5-6 years in a row now.
Well, so interesting. TX2K started here in 2000 on a Friday night, street night. Peter Block, who is the owner and founder of TX2K, was a big Toyota Supra guy and had a few guys that also had Toyota Supras, and they would come out and hang out on Friday nights here at Houston Raceway Park. So
and beat everybody up.
Exactly. And so that kind of evolved as, it kind of grew every year, and he just kind of had an annual TX2K with his Toyota club, Supra Club, at the racetrack. It then kind of it left here for a number of years and went to Hennessy at Lone Star Motorsports Park, and then Peter and I reconnected in about seven years ago, and so we've been doing TX2K since 2015.
And this facility works so much better for
and
them.
It's the event has just been on a trajectory that no one could have predicted, straight up, and it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. The quality of the cars has gotten so impressive.
And an international draw.
It's an international draw. We sold tickets to Texas 2K to every single state
in the United States.
Really? Every single state.
Wow.
And I think there was about 7 or 8 different countries that were represented through ticketing.
How cool is that?
So it is a very big event, and attracts a really big following. And so it's things like that.
And it's a different following than NHRA typically does.
It is, because that style of racing is so different from what's happening here this weekend. Yes, it's still cars racing down the track. Yes, it's still whoever gets to the finish line wins. But it's not a 11,000 horsepower nitro-burning, controlled bomb that's accelerating down the track that you're going to see this weekend.
It's a 2,000 horsepower Lamborghini or Supra.
You've got a 2,500 horsepower Lamborghini that's rolling from a 60 mile per hour rolling start. They can get up to 230 miles an hour. It's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.
And for the fans in the stands, they understand what that car is. They know exactly what it is just by looking at it. And so it's so more relatable in that environment than maybe, say, if that crowd was here, they wouldn't really understand. It's impressive. It would be impressive to them, but it's not. They're not drawn to this because they can't relate to this.
Right.
You're right. It's just a different crowd.
It's a wider variety of people coming out for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and very passionate people. We've had Peter on the show some time ago, and I've gone to a bunch of the TX2K stuff through the years, and they are a passionate group of people about the types of cars that they drive. And it's not just the Lamborghinis and the Supras. There's a good collection of Camaros and Mustangs and Corvettes in there as well. But you're talking about some high-dollar street cars that would just blow your mind, the kind of power they're putting down.
We didn't have anything like that back in our day, so it's kind of hard to imagine that the youth of today, and I'm saying that loosely, I mean the youth of today is up to 40 years old in my book, and they've
it's an old book.
It is an old book, and they've got the funds to be able to go and spend tens of thousands upon thousands of dollars to soup up their Lamborghini, which wasn't cheap to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you look at the variety and the mix of cars that are at Texas 2K, and it's not just Lamborghinis. You've got Toyota Supras, you've got Nissan GTRs, all-wheel drive. Those things are impressive. You got, old school, Chevrolet Corvettes and Mustangs. You got the old school, the new, some of the older stuff and the Fox body Mustangs, stuff like that. It's just a big mix of cars, and it's really, really a lot of fun. Just to put in perspective, at Texas 2K, we signed up almost 600 cars, 600 participants over a 5-day race weekend.
Yeah.
And here, this weekend, we'll have just a little over 200. So just kind of in context, you can see,
the enormity,
how different the events are and how big each one of them are in their own way.
And some of those teams show up with a top fuel-looking rig. They'll have 2 or 3 cars and an 18-wheeler rig and unload, throw the tent out, and there's, 25, 30 people working
full-blown
on the cars.
team. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that these new television shows that have really gained in popularity the last few years has helped that?
No doubt. I think anything that where fans can connect with motorsports in general, it doesn't even have to be drag racing, on TV or cable or YouTube or social media.
Right.
When they see that stuff, that's what gets them thinking about it and putting it on the forefront of their mind, to where, when they see maybe an ad for an event here at Houston Raceway Park, that they'll want to come and check it out.
Now, we're going to wrap up because I know that you've got to go and your phone's probably been ringing off the wall. Yeah. And we'll appease you in that regard. But I have to ask you about what the hell is going on out there on the dang 99. Oh, my God, from I-10, it's a landmine out there.
Well,
what timing?
I wouldn't use the word landmine. It's called construction. It's called development. And, unfortunately, we all will have to suffer through, a year or two of headache and pain while these construction crews, finish widening and building out the rest of Highway 99, and including the widening of FM 565, which is right here that the borders are front of
Does
our property.
Does that go all the way back over to 146?
It does, and so these are all good things that we've been wanting and asking the state and the county and to do, and they're doing that. Unfortunately, we can't control the timing.
It's going to step on a few.
But I can tell you, when we come back here next year, getting in and out of this place will be
sweet,
much improved.
Yeah. Easy peasy.
Oh, I just want to. So is it easier now to come in from 146 than it is 99? In your estimation?
In my estimation, if I would come 146 if you want to avoid any of the construction related.
Yeah, because these rigs, that's a treacherous area.
It's a bowling alley you're driving through out there.
I have to tell you that Jeff spilled his tea in his lap this morning as I slammed on the brakes trying to get into this little one-lane thing going across there.
We were doing a four-wheel drift around the
Yesterday I came in from 146, and I thought, all this construction, and all this stuff. But I came in this morning, 99 off of 10.
146 was easy.
I should have went around and came in through 146.
Seth, thank you so much for coming by. We appreciate it. I know that you're a crazy, busy man, so I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Seth Angel, the president here at the Houston Raceway Park and this year's NHRA Spring Nationals over here in Baytown. We invite you to come on out. Qualifying today, 2 rounds of qualifying begin at noon, and then tomorrow is final eliminations. It's a big weekend, and we know that you'll love to be here.
Still got time to get here.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. And our show, by the way, streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and inwheeltime.com. Podcasts are available at your favorite podcast provider. The In-Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break. Let me tell you about a locally owned and operated group of dealerships called Bayway. Bayway owner Daryl Wisniewski is born and raised right here, and he knows Houstonians better than anyone. Bayway Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, Bayway Lincoln, and Bayway Chevrolet are managed by Lincoln Stahl. And when you get to know these guys, you'll want to become part of the Bayway family too. Feel good that you're part of Houstonian-owned Bayway Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.com, BaywayChevrolet.com, and BaywayLincoln.com. Remember the name, Bayway. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, June 19th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto-mods. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a friends and family event at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupe founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, June 19th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday morning, June 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at Lupe's in Katy. Inside the Loop, visit Tailpipes and Tacos on the Southwest Freeway at Shepherd, weather permitting.
NHRA Camping World Drag Racing. It's an 11,000 horsepower Nitro Rodeo coming to Houston Raceway Park in Baytown. Catch all the Nitro and Pro Stock action at the Mopar Express Lane NHRA Spring Nationals presented by Pennzoil this weekend. Matt Hagan, Leah Pruitt, Erica Enders, 3-time world champ Steve Torrance, and 16-time himself John Force. Kids 12 and under are free in general admission. Get tickets at HoustonRaceway.com. Houston's got horsepower.
Don't miss the first ever Houston Summer Auto Show, May 19th through the 23rd at NRG Center. A limited edition collection of your favorite brands and models, including the new Ford Bronco and Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Tickets online only at HoustonAutoShow.com.
That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.